Well, good morning. And you have to ask yourself today in particular, is there a maverick in you? Because today's webinar is going to be just like off the chart. We have so many questions already lined up. We have a record attendance. What do you think it is, Adam? The summer? Is that what it is? It brings like all the questions out with the heat, right?
Must be the summer.
Must be the summer. Well, I'd like to start with a couple of things. First of all, I want to talk about what I put out yesterday in my VIP Voxer group. I thought it was a particularly good message, and so I thought I'd pass it along this morning. And that is, when you're selling yourself on a listing appointment, the first thing you want to make sure you do, and I've talked about this so often in my training, is when you're in the living room or you're in the kitchen and you're ready to start talking to the seller about why you and you alone are the single best agent to sell their home, start off with your personal backstory. Start off with your personal backstory. And there are certain forms you can put that in. I talked about that in a previous audio Voxer message, which I'm happy to share with any of you. I'll talk about that in a minute, how you can get that audio. But then, when you start talking about your process for selling the seller's home, you want to first make sure that it's distinct, that it's different, and that they understand that you're not doing the same things other realtors do. And then you want to present it in three ways. You first want to present it philosophically. And this was the point of my Voxer yesterday. You want to present the philosophy, then you want to present the purpose, then you want to present the process. Now, let me give you an example, and I used it in the Voxer yesterday. If, for example, you had a nutrition product, to sell, the most effective way to sell that would not be to talk about your nutrition product, but rather it would be to first talk about the philosophy of eating healthier. That when one eats healthier, what happens? One eats healthier, one is going to live longer and maybe feel better every day. So there's a philosophy behind that. And then the philosophy is also, are you willing to sacrifice sugary foods and eating gluttonous big meals? Are you willing to sacrifice that in order to live a healthier, happier, longer life? So that's kind of the philosophy. Then what's the purpose? What's the purpose of not eating tons of sugar and huge meals? Well, I said that before. The purpose is to feel better and live longer. So philosophically, are we willing to give up sugar, which tastes good, and are we willing to not eat gluttonous meals in order to, philosophically, are we willing to do that to have a better life? Then the purpose, of course, is to do what? Is to live a longer life and feel better. And then you get to the process. What's this process? Well, the process would be maybe to eat smaller meals and eat these particular foods and eat in a particular pattern. And your product fits in there. Let's translate that into real estate. Let's translate that into a listing appointment. So I'm in and I'm just told the sellers why, my personal backstory. And why real estate to me is more than just a commission check. And so I'm hopefully starting to get them to like me and trust me and understand who I am as a person. And then I talk to them about my unique process for selling their homes. And one of the things I coach is that the number one way to get listings is to have a transparently logical process, something different from the traditional 75-year-old, antiquated, outdated process for selling homes where people list them and right away toss them in MLS and put up a sign like a loaf of bread and then just hold open houses and run some ads and pretty much hope they sell. And if they don't, blame the seller and beat on the seller to get the price down. I mean, it's not like the sellers always price the home right, and we know they don't, but we also know that, come on, there's got to be more effective, more efficient ways to build excitement, build hype, and get buyers in a higher price frame of mind. I mean, learn from Apple, learn from Tesla, and that's the kind of things we teach over here. Well, that being said, so you have this unique process, like let's say my 22-step formula, pre-launch formula. If you have this process, you don't want to just start by, all of you, whatever your process is, don't just start by explaining all the things you do. Here's the point. Whatever it is you do to sell homes, don't just start by explaining the things you do to sell homes. Start first with the philosophy. The philosophy would be what? The philosophy is that the system, the traditional way homes have been sold, hasn't changed in 75 years, since my dad was selling homes. That's the philosophy. And the philosophy is, you think to yourself, oh my gosh, could it be possible that, like every other industry in the world, that maybe real estate, the ABC process that's generally used to sell homes, that could be updated? I mean, imagine if Apple was still selling computers, even the way it did 10 years ago, it'd probably be out of business. So you talk the philosophy of it and you say, you know, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, I looked at that process and I studied what some of the most sophisticated marketers in the country were doing, like Apple and Tesla, and I imported some of those strategies into real estate. And I'm so excited to show you how my process for selling your home, and now you get to the purpose. So you talked about the philosophy, now you get to the purpose. How my process for selling your homes, hands down, increases, and these are the key words, please remember these, dramatically increases the probability that your home will sell faster and, more importantly, at a higher price. And I want to say that again, dramatically increases the probability that your home will sell faster and at a higher price. And I think you'll see, and these are good words to remember as well, I think you'll see when I take you through this process, I think you'll see that it's logical, transparent, that it's a transparently better way to sell your home. Would you like me to tell you a little bit about it? And of course, they say yes. So you see how I've gone from philosophy to purpose to process, philosophy to purpose to process. And by the way, if you would like my audio on that, then you can email us help@realestatemaveriks.com and just ask for that Voxer audio. And as a matter of fact, we have coming up, and then I'll start answering questions. We have coming up starting June 6th, we have a record enrollment for this. We have a free Voxer all through June. I'll do 20 Voxers. I'll do 5 a week for 4 straight weeks. And I'm going to talk about how to compete against non-traditional and discount brokerages. And by the way, I'm not like shooting them and saying that what they're doing is wrong. I think in a lot of cases, like with Redfin, what they're doing is very innovative. However, given that I've spent my life in non-traditional real estate, I have a good sense for how to compete and win against non-traditional real estate brokers. Everything from the MLS models where home sellers can just pay a few $100s and get their homes in MLS, all the way to the Redfins that has a very sophisticated, highly venture capital funded model, all the way to just other real estate agents out there who are offering all kinds of different discount and other monetary incentives. So if you'd like to become part of that Voxer group, absolutely no charge at all. Just email help@realestatemaveriks.com. Just say you want to be part of the June 6th Voxer group. We'll show you then, and you want to just include your name and your email and what else? Adam, was there something else? Name and email and phone number. And the type of smartphone you use. We'll have one of our team members help you download Voxer. You can just go in and do it yourself. It's a free app you can download, and then you'll just be able to access my audios in June on demand, and you'll get some real insight into all of the major non-traditional and discount real estate brokerages. You'll get real insight into how they function, what their end game plan is, and how in the field you can compete and win against them. So if you want to sign up for that Voxer group, and again, it's free. It's just compliments of us. So do we have any questions this morning?
We do. I know we do. We got a bunch in emails in the last couple of days.
Perfect.
To ask.
All right. Some questions previously came in. Now, I haven't told everybody about the $100 challenge.
Oh gosh.
Gave one away last time. $100 challenge is if you can stump me on a question. And it has to be fair. I'm not sure, forget who it was that asked me that question last time, but that was kind of a ringer. We gave him the $100 anyway. He asked me in Arizona how many days. Terry, if you're on today, shame on you. Did we get did we get Terry that $100?
We did.
We paid Paladin the $100. So Terry, you don't be asking me these kind of questions. No, he said, "Hey, Greg, in Arizona, because he knows I'm in Arizona, if you commit a felony, how many days do you have to report it to the Arizona Department of Real Estate?" And we figured out it was a good thing I didn't know the answer to that, because if it would mean maybe I committed a felony and had to report it. So I didn't know the answer. And I think having researched it, it's 10 days is what we found out. I think Paige researched it and said it's like she didn't see anything. But when we looked at it later, Roseanne checked it out. It's 10 days. So in any case, don't be asking me questions like that. Ask me questions that are going to help you make more money. In any case, if you can stump me at one of those kinds of questions, then we're going to PayPal you $100. So, all right, here goes.
Very good. Okay, so our first question comes in from Jaylene.
Jaylene.
And Jaylene.
We have a Jaylene in our coaching. I wonder if it's the same Jaylene.
Very possibly.
Hi, Jaylene, if you are, and if you're not in our coaching, hi, Jaylene, too.
And I believe she is, actually. She says, my experience lately has been that this is a seller's market. So most people I have talked to don't want to keep their homes off the market for pre-marketing.
Mm-hmm.
And she's had 3 out of 3 appointments where that's been the case. Not a lot, but enough to kind of get a trend. Has this been the experience of other agents in our system, your system, or is she in a particularly hot market where she's at.
Okay, so great question, Jaylene. Jaylene is in my coaching, so it's the Jaylene I was thinking of. So here's the scoop. First of all, we are in a seller's market, and in some areas, and Jaylene, I apologize, I forget what area you're in, but like in Denver, Colorado, a lot of areas, it's a very, very hot seller's market. And so sellers are hesitant sellers might initially, at first blush, be hesitant to hold their home off the market for a pre-marketing period, whatever that is. They just say, just go ahead and get it on the market. We know it's going to sell. It's going to be flooded with buyers. So let me talk through that step by step. First of all, hey, if that's what they want and you get the listing, fine. It's all good. Remember that the goal, the first goal, I coach agents. So the first goal of our pre-launch formula is to give you an edge to get listings where you otherwise wouldn't. So if you go in and the sellers, hopefully that gave you an edge to get in the door, and the sellers say, Jaylene, we just rather get our home right on the market right now. It's a hot market. We don't need to have build anticipation, build excitement, all these things. Fine, just take the listing and go. So let's start there. Number two, here's the thing though, sellers are making a mistake, and let me tell you why. Because the best time to use pre-marketing, the best time to build anticipation, the best time to build excitement is when you got a lot of buyers out there. I mean, if there's no buyers out there, if it's a dead market, if it's more of a buyer's market and there aren't a lot of buyers, then it's really hard to build a lot of hype. But when you got a lot of buyers, even if you held it off, our formula, our 22-step formula that you've learned goes over 29 days. Well, in a Voxer, just, what about a week ago, I did an 11-day formula. It may have been you. One of our agents requested what would be a short and compressed formula. So I laid out what would be an 11-day pre-launch formula. So here's the thing. Think about this. The seller says, no, I'd just rather get it on the market right away. Why? I mean, what's a week? If you can get buyers in a frenzy, build it so that on that first Saturday, instead of throwing it out there like in 2 days, say you list it on a Thursday and you throw it out there on the market on Saturday, let's say you just put it off one more Saturday and you spend, let's say 8 or 9 days just getting everybody excited, calling other agents, letting them know, not letting anybody in. I mean, so that you can cram people in that house that Saturday, have them see each other coming and going and say you're going to evaluate all offers that night. I got to tell you, how can that not generate a little bit higher price for that seller than if it's just put out there on a normal basis? I mean, I believe any company in any industry would look at that scenario with respect to their product and they'd say absolutely positively. So that being said, all that matters to me is first and foremost is that you get the listing. The seller's happy with you. They're happy with what you do. And I certainly wouldn't get in, let's say an argument with them by saying, no, I won't list your home unless you do this pre-marketing. However, you're competing against, in a seller's market, this is the last thing I'll say, in a seller's market, it's number one, particularly difficult to get listings because so many agents are just out there scrambling for the listings because they're solid gold, they're money in the bank. So you need an edge. And this pre-marketing plan is an edge where you can show sellers that because of this hyped up market, you actually have a formula that will very likely, use the words again, dramatically increase the probability they may end up with 3, 4, 5% more for their home. So that's the one thing that I want to say about it. So to get you listings where you otherwise wouldn't, and also to get that message out into the market. And in fact, Jaylene, in today's Voxer, I'm putting out, you're going to love this, I'm putting out, I think I've got like 12 or 13 additional new creative, compelling messages that all of the agents I coach can push out into their market in order to get more doors. Because the thing you need, everybody needs, is it's one thing to go into a listing appointment and lose it, which we don't like to do. It's another thing to have signs go up out there in your area, in your neighborhood, and you never had a chance to get in the door. So hope that helps you. So the answer is take the listing. Wouldn't fight the seller about it. But in all fairness to the seller, I would explain to them that a hot market is the best time to get 3, 4, 5% more than your home than you would otherwise. Okay.
Jaylene has a follow-up question.
Okay.
So good, we'll knock her out first. I told her I'd get her in first, and she
Okay.
shot her email.
All right, Jaylene.
Jaylene, and she says, are you familiar with the new open door system that is being promoted in
I am.
the Valley? I would like your view about this system and how to compete with it.
Okay, so the open door system that's being promoted, they have similar such systems in other parts of the country. That is going to be an integral part of my 20 Voxer series starting just June 6th. There are several. That's one of the non-traditional vehicles out there. Quite frankly, it's a fascinating model. It's an interesting model. I applaud the innovation behind it. And there was, as you know, there were some concerns about the use of lock boxes and how that functioned and whether what they were doing was legal. There's still some challenges to that. I'm not really, I don't really care. That's irrelevant to me. What my job is to teach you how to compete. So what I'd like to do, if it's okay, is just have you if you can just wait. We start this in 4 or 5 days. That will be one of the first things I cover starting, well, I guess it's next Monday. Yeah, starting next Monday in those Voxers. And I know you're part of the Voxer group. So if that's okay, I'd rather just make it part of the whole series, because the strategies that will be used for some of these others will also be used for that. But quite frankly, what I'm going to be teaching you, I'll go ahead and tell you in June is to have, to have in your tool belt when you're competing. There's the two challenges with something like Opendoor and Redfin and these others. Challenge one is to make sure you get to the dance, to make sure you have messaging that will cause people who might respond to these companies to also respond to you, so you're getting in the door. That's goal number one. It does you no good to have a strategy to beat Opendoor if you don't get in the door to compete against Opendoor. And then the next thing is, once you're in the door, I'm going to teach you exactly what to say to make the seller not go with Opendoor every single time, not go with Redfin every single time. So hopefully, if it's okay with you, let me do that as part of the Voxer series, because it would take me, of this hour, it would take me probably 10, 15 minutes to go through what I would need to do appropriately to give you what you need. Is that okay?
I hope. Mystery.
Yeah, a little mystery. Well, it's just not as easy as here's a line, here's a sentence you can use to beat Opendoor. You have to understand the model, which means for everybody listening today, Jaylene, I'd have to explain the model and then explain exactly what the strategy is to beat them in terms of getting indoor with their marketing. And then once you're in the door, exactly what to say. And that's not a 3 or 4 minute answer. Good.
Okay, we got one from Grant. Grant says, I'm an Ohio realtor. Ooh.
Oh, all right. Well, Grant, you know my background. I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio, grew up in Cincinnati. And in fact, if you're not Facebook friends with me, go ahead and hit me up on Facebook. I have a whole bunch of friend requests. I apologize. I have like 20 that came in yesterday, I think, and I haven't accepted them. But I posted something about my dad and his sign that he used, Matchless Performance, the Harold Hay Company in Cincinnati, and how that was my roots and grew up there. So, hey, welcome from Cincinnati. And by the way, I know a lot of realtors back in the Ohio area, if you're ever looking for good connections and actually some people that are studying to be Maverick coaches back there. So go ahead.
So what Grant says is, he says, I have been told to use telemarketers for initial contact with prospective clients to save time. Not sure about this. Thoughts? ? Second question is, do you know if the Ohio Real Estate Commission would frown on this practice if the telemarketers are not licensees?
Okay. Well, first of all, I can answer the second question first and then the first question second. There is, if you look at unless it's changed from when I was in Ohio and broker and built my real estate firms, and I'm sure it hasn't, there's generally nothing a telemarketer would do that constitutes the practice of real estate that would require a license. So when you say frown, they might not like it, and I'm not suggesting you do it because I have a better idea for you than that. However, I look at black and white. I don't really look at frown as much as I do, is it legal or is it not? Is it ethical or is it not? And it's perfectly legal and it's perfectly ethical. There's no violation of the NAR Code of Ethics, and there's no violation of the Ohio licensing law as far as I know, because what? Because they're not doing anything. You'd have to look at the definition of what constitutes, we'll call it, I'm an attorney too, so I'll use the term practicing. And I'm still an attorney in Ohio, by the way. I have it on inactive status because I don't practice and I don't want to have to take the continuing education back there. But so the answer is, I would expect that there's no problem with the Department of Real Estate doing it, the Ohio Department of Real Estate. Now, that being said, would they like it? Well, I'm sure they'd rather not have licensees having telemarketers drive people crazy. So from a preference standpoint, I don't think that would probably get you a gold star, but I also would expect it won't get your license suspended or revoked. So there's the accurate answer there. Now, that being said, there's a better plan. The better plan is don't use telemarketers. Telemarketers, number one, people can tell it that they are. There's noise in the background. They bother people. They put you in a bad light. I could just off the cuff list a whole bunch of reasons why that is not the way to do it in real estate. And I know some agents do. I think that's a bad plan. Here's what you do. What you do is, number one, you figure out how you can be distinct and different. What is it about you that would distinguish you from every other realtor in the market in a way where you could explain to home sellers that you'll produce a better result from them? That's really important. When I got started in Ohio, I talk about how the formula I used, and I'll be glad to cover that if you're interested and you want to ask here, or somebody does. The formula I used when I first got started, I was brand new and I started struggling, and I struggled and nobody would list with me. And then all of a sudden I just came up with this idea and I listed the next 10 homes in a row and just got off to just an enormously fast start in real estate. So you need that kind of a thing. You need that kind of a thing. You need to be so excited. You wake up in the morning, you say, God, I've got it. This is so exciting. I can't wait to get this out to people. Then you need to figure your messaging. What should that messaging be? Because there's two parts to it. One is, what's my messaging that makes people just have to talk to me about it? And then number two, of course, you've got this process, this thing you're so excited about. And boy, when I got that, it was just like my life. I was in my 20s, and it just changed my whole life, the rest of my life in real estate, when I understood that concept. Then you either do it yourself, but here's the better plan. You hire a marketing partner on a percentage. I don't care if you've never sold a house. You can do this. You just pair up with somebody. They don't have to be licensed, because they're not going to be advising home sellers. They're simply going to call home sellers with the talk track. They're going to give them this talk track, which buy owners, expireds, that's who you're primarily going to be calling. You don't want to just cold call people in neighborhoods, for gosh sake. That's awful. There's a much more effective way to get your messaging out than doing that. Do not do that. And you give them a percentage. You give them a spiff for every listing appointment they get you. I teach that throughout my coaching. They get like 25 or 50 bucks for every listing appointment. Their goal is to get you one listing appointment every day. This is an indispensable part of every real estate agent's practice. You cannot not have this. You should not be the one on the phone, and you should not hire telemarketers. And the person you hire on, we'll say, a pay them by the appointment basis, as I say, they don't have to be licensed. There are tons of people who love to have that job. They can do that job from their home in their PJs. They just have to be good at it. They have to understand and know what to say. And so that's part one. And then part two is, you also give them, when you list that home and sell it, you give them a generous spiff, like $250, $500, something like that. You must not make it a percentage of your commission. You must not tie it to your commission in any way. In fact, it must be such that you would pay them that amount of money even if you didn't earn a commission, because again, they're not licensed. So in most every state, and I believe that's true in Ohio, you cannot share commissions with unlicensed people, but you can pay anybody a flat fee of, say, $400 every time if they get you a listing appointment and that sells and closes. Regardless of what commission you make, you're just giving them $400. That has absolutely nothing to do with your commission. You're paying them $400. That would generally be okay and legal. So you should have that kind of a person. So much better than telemarketing. And I'll tell you what I'll do. If you are not already part of our Voxer group, you email help@realestatemaveriks.com. You want to do that anyway. Specifically mention this, and I'll have one of my team forward you over. I think it's 6 or 7 Voxer audios with the outlines underneath them of the talk tracks for totally different than you've ever heard out there for converting buy owner and expired calls to appointments. And any of you that would like that, just mention that specifically in your email to help@realestatemaveriks.com, and we'll have a team member forward that over. Is that okay, Adam? Now that I
that's
offered
totally
that.
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just remind people that Voxer's an app on their cell phone.
Oh, Voxer, VOXER, is an app. You don't have to have that app to do this email, because we can even forward the audios by email, but much easier if we can forward them by Voxer. Just VOXER. It is one of the things I'll be teaching in June is not just about non-traditional brokers. I'll be talking about how to use Voxer in 3 ways. Number one, best client communication tool you've ever seen. It'll be amazing. I'll teach you how to do that. Number two, an amazing productivity tool to help you do, we'll call it twice as much in half the time, help you do twice as much in half the time. Great productivity tool. And number three, this is what you're going to love. Going to teach you how to make Voxer for $3.99 a month. For $3.99 a month, the best lead generation tool you have ever even imagined, for $3.99 a month. Okay?
That's awesome.
Good.
Okay, so we have got Melissa, and I don't know which Melissa it is. There's so many, but this is what she says. I've had some friends and family inquire about the 990 opportunity, somebody in our program.
Okay.
But they make it clear they want to find their own buyer and have me do all the paperwork. Is it worth it for the exposure and marketing potential, or am I being taken advantage of?
Okay, so let me explain what this is for everyone. And this, we have several Melissas in the coaching, and one of my first, Melissa Rosario, she's amazing back east. If this is you, Melissa, any of Melissa's, it's great. So let me go through it very succinctly and explain what Melissa is talking about so you all know. One of the strategies I teach, and it's designed to do several things. Number one, is designed to get you in listing appointments, get you to more dances. Number two, is designed to just be a laser sharp tool to help you get listings. It's a process. It's a process. It's not, I mean, it's just a process you show sellers that they love. Get you indoors. It's amazing getting you indoors, and Melissa already knows that. Number two, it helps you get listings. Number three, it helps you compete against discount brokers and to end up with your full percentage commission, whatever it is, your 5, 6, whatever you charge. It really helps you reinforce that. It also helps you compete against discount brokers, not just discount agents, but brokers that are offering across the board discounted fees. All it is this. It's really simple. You market, hey, you market out there, sell your home with complete full service, MLS and everything else, and a commission as low as just $990. And at first blush, you say, oh God, Gray, I'll never sell homes at $990. Well, what you do is you simply offer sellers what I call the 990 opportunity. I built a whole national firm around this back 25 years ago. I had 4,000 agents, 121 offices. I have 990 trademarked in real estate. And it works like this. What you do is you simply then go to the sellers and you say, here's the way it works. It's great because we team up. We work together to sell your home. First of all, I do everything every other realtor does. You list with me at, let's say, my normal traditional 6%. You list with me on a normal exclusive right to sell agency. I market your home, other realtors show your home. If any of us sells your home, it's the normal, let's say, 6% commission. But here's where I stand apart. I let you enable you, the home seller, if you want to hold your own open houses, show your own home. You don't sell your home. You don't sell your own home. You just show your own home. I give you flyers. I give you open signs. I give you everything. Flip all the buyers over to me who come through without realtors. If any of those buyers who come through without a realtor and they don't go back and they don't have a realtor, if they want your home, I'll close the deal for $990. And so why would you do this? Well, I'll tell you that statistically over thousands of sales and over 25, 30 years, I have agents all over the country using this so successfully. About 1 out of 8 of those homes that sell will sell at $990. The other 7 out of 8, because most buyers work with real estate agents, will sell at a normal percentage commission. So what happens, the deal here is, Melissa, to answer your question, is that once in a while, one of those homes will sell at $990. And I'm going to get to the question. The question is, well, these sellers are just totally committed to sell it only at $990. Let's get to that in a minute. But what often happens is the sellers hold some open houses, get tired of it, and it just becomes a normal listing. Well, whatever. Those who really stay at it send you a ton of buyers, and that's great because you hopefully have buyer partners. You don't actually show homes yourself, I hope. I teach you just to list, and have buyer partners, marketing partners, etc. You can have them all at a percentage. You don't have to write out checks, pay a salary. So you flip all those amazing buyers off to buyer partners. You share commissions with you, and you make lots of money there. And remember, the sellers are generating those buyers, and they're holding their homes open. If any of those buyers are interested in selling and buying the seller's home, then you sell it. And as I said, that happens 1 out of 8 times. It's still a normal exclusive right to sell agreement. You just close it. Instead of charging them the 6%, you charge them $990. Now, on the occasion that happens, and it does happen once in a while, but how many times have you sat in an open house, guys, and had a buyer come through who was not with a real estate agent and say, oh, I'll take it? It doesn't happen that often. So, but it happens once in a while. When it does, it's the best thing in the world, because then you take and you have the seller do a testimonial. Hey, I sold my home with Greg Haig and in 44 days, and I saved $33,000 with his $990 commission. And then you just jam that out into the market. You just get so many listing calls you can't even stand it, of which 7 out of 8 will sell at your normal percentage commission. Now, so I had to explain this. Sorry, it took longer than I wanted it to, but I don't know. I get it. And what's really cool about that process is I believe that every good process must first and foremost be a better process for selling homes, not just where the seller has an opportunity to save money and not just to get you in the door on more listing appointments, but actually a better process for selling homes. When you team up with the seller, the home is more quickly exposed to more buyers because the sellers are holding their own home. They're so excited about this. They hold their own homes open all the time. And by the way, if you don't think home sellers are really good at holding their homes open, hey, just check it out. When you walk through the home with them on the listing appointment, they show you the home. They're amazing at showing their own homes. And then they just flip the buyers over to you. They never negotiate. They never do anything else. So now, Melissa, to your question. Your question is, what if the seller is just absolutely committed to finding their own buyer and paying only $990 so that you realize there's not a high likelihood the home will sell at your percentage commission? The answer is fine. These are the things that are going to happen. Only one of these things could happen. Number one, the seller over time could change their mind and not be as committed. So that could happen. And then you end up, it sells co-broker, you sell it. More likely it'll sell co-broke and you make your normal 3% because it's a 6% commission if it sells co-broke. Number two, and remember, this is not a $990 plus 3% co-broke. If it sells through any real estate agent, the home is your normal, whatever your commission is. It's either $990 because the seller finds their own buyer who's not with an agent, or it's your normal full percentage commission if you sell it or any realtor in the community sells it, your normal commission. So going back to that. So the first thing that could happen is the seller, sometimes they just get burned out and they just say, I'm not even going to do this anymore. Second thing that happens is they stay with it, but you produce a contract. And the contract is a good one. It's a hot market. And you go over to the sellers and you persuade the sellers that this contract is so good, it's not worth them hanging on and trying for this $990. And they can take it or not take it, but you have those contracts. I've had that happen so many times where sellers, Melissa, who are committed to the $990 said, I will only say I love this. And this is the reason you got the listing, because they loved it so much. You would remember, you wouldn't even have this listing. So the bottom line is that happens where they'll take the deal. And then let's presume that this is one of those sellers, like you just said, who come hell or high water, no matter what it is, they're going to sell their home at $990 and they're not going to sell it any other way. Well, number one, you wouldn't have this listing if it weren't for that. So that's the good thing. And the second thing is, of course, you're going to do the work. You're going to be enthusiastic about it. You're going to applaud their efforts. They're going to probably send you a ton of buyers before they find the right one. I mean, they're going to be like the best advertising in the world. Their own nickel, their own time, sending you buyers. How does it get better than that? I mean, you'll have buyer partners because hopefully you're in my coaching. I'm going to presume you're in my coaching, Melissa, and because I don't know which Melissa this is, but I presume you're in my coaching. And so the bottom line is you're going to make money from the buyers they send you, and everybody wins. And eventually they find a $990 buyer and you close it, and then you're going to win again. That seller may need to buy a home, so you sell them a home, make 3% there. And the big win, the huge win, is you're going to do what I said before. You're going to hope this happens with more sellers. This is the thing. This is the crazy counterintuitive thing. And then you're going to have the seller's photo. You're going to have a picture with them, and you're going to have them say, yes, Melissa sold my home for in 22 days. And I say $33,000. I only paid $990. You're thinking about selling your home. You need to give Melissa a call. That is solid gold. And believe me, most of those sellers who call you won't be as committed as this one who was absolutely recalcitrant that they'd only sell their home that way. And I'll mention one other thing to help all of you out there. Remember, I mentioned that as part of my coaching in one of the Boxers, if you sign up for the Boxer audios, is a buy owner approach. Listen to this buy owner approach. You're going to love this. And it's genuine. What I like about my approaches is they're not gimmicks. They're just genuine. You call a buy owner and you say, so-and-so, Mr. Jones, I know you're selling your home, buy owner, and I want to ask you a question. Did you happen to know that there's a program out there in the business right now, very few buy owners know, where you can have your cake and eat it too, where you can continue to sell your home, buy owner, do what you're doing, and at the same time be listed with a full service realtor like me, have my help, my professional assistance, and have your home in MLS and have every realtor out there wanting to show and sell your home, so that it's the best of both worlds. Now, this is you guys on the phone. Did you know that there was that existed out there because buy owners don't know this. You know that, and you're saying, well, what is that, Greg? But you know that realtors, the way they look at the real estate community is they have to make a choice. They have to either list with a realtor and give up their buy owner rights, or they have to be a buy owner. None of them realize that there's an alternative where they can have it both. Now, I know, saying to me, well, what's this alternative? The alternative is just what I told you, that 990 opportunity. You just tweak it a little bit. So you then, when you go over on the appointment, you say it works like this. Number one, I list your home, and here's my percentage commission, and I'll put it in MLS. And if any of us sell it, then the commission would be this. And by the way, you can always make sure that your home is priced accordingly. So you say that, and at the same time, you can hold your home open, market your home, do whatever you want. And if you find a buyer, I give you two alternatives. Number one is, if you want to just sell it yourself, then no problem at all. I don't do anything, and you don't owe me a nickel. And you just put that in the contract. If the seller finds their own buyer's not with a real estate agent, then the commission is, and the buyer and the seller doesn't want me to help, commission is zero. But then you can also say, if you want my help, it's just $990. And that is the best buy owner get in the door and listing tool in the entire world. Okay.
Good. We have here. We have Scott.
Scott. Hi, Scott.
Scott has one for you.
Okay.
Very personal one, it looks like.
For me, well, I mean, this is me.
I mean, but it's not, it's about you. Okay.
Oh, okay.
If you lost everything financially.
Oh God, not, that happened once in my life back in.
The best of us, it has happened.
Yes, it happened once in my life many years ago.
No risk, no reward.
Yes, no risk, no reward.
He says, if you lost everything financially, and we're getting back into real estate today in 2016.
Which is what I would do. I would be back out selling real estate today. That would be I'm an attorney. I've got a lot of connections, a lot of friends, a lot of businesses. That's exactly what I'd be doing. So go ahead. And by the way, have a darn good time doing it.
And he says, what would you do in the next 30 days, 90 days, 180 days to drum up business? Which of your techniques? How would you market them with the most bang for the buck?
Okay.
So starting over, 2016.
Yeah, 2016.
How does Greg do it?
All right. Great question. So, okay. So, what I would do is I would first, I believe the two most powerful messages out there, I have a lot, are learn how to sell your home for more than it's worth. Did you know that your home can be sold above the comps? Did you know that there's a way that your home can be sold above the other homes in the neighborhood? So that sell your home for more than it's worth. I actually, Scott, trademarked that term. I thought it was so good. I came up with that. But do you know there's a way to talk to me first? Don't list until you talk with me first. You can add the 29 days to it because we have this 29-day formula. I would definitely add featured in Forbes because that was the formula. So I'll take you through this. It's important. I'd have to have my compelling message. You can't get indoors if you're starting over without a compelling message. And I know a lot of people, but I'm going to presume I don't. Because if a lot of people knew I got back into selling real estate, they just probably swarm all over me to sell their home. But I'm going to presume that's not the case because that's not fair. This is like lost everything and don't have all the contacts and connections. That's like apples and apples. So that's number one compelling message is work my compelling message around that. And then I'll tell you what I do with it. Best bang for the buck, or sell your home for more than it's worth. Commission as low as $990. And I just talked about the 990 opportunity. Sell your home, complete full service, commission as low as $990. Talk to me first. Don't list your home with anyone else till you talk to me first. Either way, I'd have the warning message. Don't list your home till you talk to me first. Don't make a mistake. The costliest mistake home sellers make would be to list with somebody else till they talk with me. I would craft, and I'll be doing that in today's Voxer, by the way. I've got a lot of that kind of messaging that I'll be sharing. So that's number one. And any of you out there that would like that, just again, help it at realestatemaveriks.com. Say you want a copy of today's Voxer, and we'll get that over to you. So that's number one, Scott, compelling message. Number two, best bang for the buck. So because I lost everything, don't have a lot of money. Well, first of all, I'm going to put it on my cards. For gosh sake, the biggest mistake. And then I'm going to get out all day long talking with people and getting my cards out there. Because how do realtors, this, if you presume you're in my coaching, how do realtors possibly have business cards that have, I'm this and that with this company and not have their compelling message on it, something that evokes curiosity, that gets people asking why, well, what's that? How does that work? How do you sell homes for more than they're worth? How do you sell homes for $990? Something that gets people to ask. So I would, number one, do that. Get it on my business cards. Very inexpensive. Why? Because I'm going to have business cards anyway. Number two, I would develop a community newsletter. And I would pick a farm area. Again, let's presume I lost everything, don't have a lot of money, pick a couple, 300 homes. And I would do this community newsletter that previewed events that were coming up in the next month. That was one of the most successful things I ever did in farming. And then I would hire somebody to put it out. I wouldn't even go out door to door. I would just hire somebody every month to get it out there, and I would get people looking forward to it. So that's the second thing I do. And of course, I'd have my messaging there on the back, but not in people's face. And this community, we'll call it newsletter, event letter. That's the second thing I do. I'd start getting my farm going right away. That's number 2. Number 3, I would do targeted Facebook marketing. I would do targeted Facebook marketing. How do you not do that? You can narrow that right down to your geographic area, right down to your farm area. You can make it so that people who are in there putting anything in that might indicate they're selling their home, you can make that happen. You can just hit them with this compelling message. Without a compelling message, it's totally yuck. But with a compelling message, people just have to inquire. So those are there's a number of things I do, but those are the 3 most powerful. I would also, on LinkedIn, I would change my LinkedIn profile from being a real estate coach to obviously being in real estate. I'd put my compelling message there. I'd make sure a lot of people quickly recommended me. I'd call my friends, everybody I knew, get me recommendations, get me endorsements, make my LinkedIn profile look good. And then in the morning when I wake up, after I work out every morning, I would spend an hour participating in groups that are geocentric, LinkedIn groups that are geographically around my area. It could be stamp collecting, motorcycling, flying. I'm not into stamp collecting, but I love motorcycling. I love flying. I love those things. So I'd be in, and LinkedIn probably has more, I know they have more professional groups, but I'd be in those and with groups that were geographic in my area. And I would never promote what I'm doing. I would be leaving comments and doing posts that relate to the subject of the group, but I would do such good ones that people would check out my profile and see my compelling message. So those are the things I would do. I would do the farm. I would have a compelling message, number 1. Make sure I had a compelling message. You know how I feel about that. I'd have a process to back it up. That could be the 29-day fast sale plan, the 990 opportunity, can be both. I'd have a unique and differentiating process to back it up. That's number 2. I have those, as you know. Number 3, I'd have that compelling message on the back of my business cards, and I'd be meeting everybody and talking to them about it. Number 4, I'd have a really good elevator speech. We've talked about the importance of that. When people say, well, they see your card and they say, well, tell me about that. What do you do? I would not say I'm a real estate agent. I would say, well, it's not what I do, it's why I do it. It's not what I do, it's why I do it. And they'd say, well, what does that mean? And I'd say, well, why I do it is because most homes around America are selling for 3, 4, 5, 6% less than they should or they could. And the reason I do what I do is because I have a strategy, I have a way to sell homes for more than they're worth, to sell homes for more than anybody expected. I'd have that elevator speech down. So when I'm talking to people, I could just nail that. That's the next thing I do. And as I said, I have that on my business cards. Then I would do targeted Facebook marketing. I do my community event newsletter, and I would be participating in groups on LinkedIn. I would be just killing it every day doing that. And then if I was really, really, really hurting for money, I would regardless, I would hire a marketing partner, somebody who was not licensed. I would give them my buy owner and my expired talk tracks. And I would say, you start and you are going to get me an appointment every day. I know the buy owners and the expireds are the toughest, but until I start getting some action, I need some money. And so I want an appointment with a buy owner and expired every day. And I would teach them and work with them, and we would make that happen. I would say to myself that I'm going to die at 5 o'clock that day if I don't have a listing appointment. I would tell my marketing partner, you're going to die if by noon you don't have me a listing appointment that day. And we would work it together. So that's what I would do. Laser focused. I'd know exactly what to do. And man, I would start like tomorrow morning. Is that a good answer? That's what I do.
You're out of breath. It was such a good answer.
Yeah. I mean, actually, Scott, it's interesting. I've loved my life. I love my life now. And I've done a lot of things in my life, building real estate firms, practicing law. I wrote the book on fathering and did rapid fire books, which if you haven't checked my rapidfirebooks.com website out, all you guys should. It's really cool. Did the best takeaways from the best books in business in 2-minute audios. So I've really had and I've traveled a lot, and I have the most amazing family and friends. I tell you all that for a reason. And I love coaching. I love doing what I do. This is just like the most amazing thing. But I got to tell you, my favorite thing in my whole life that I've done is just on the street selling real estate. God, I love to sell real estate. I love to sell real estate. I tell the story about Cash Ambergy. If you've not got that audio, again, we can send you that audio about Cash Ambergy and his how he built this carpet and appliance store. And his line was, "I don't care about making money. I just love to sell carpet." I got to tell you, I do care about making money, but I love to sell real estate. But I do care about making money. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so we have got, let's see, I've got a bunch here, and we've got 15 minutes left. I want to get the best one. So we got one from Brad.
Okay, Brad.
Brad says he called in to Yolanda. Okay. And he says, is it possible to work the 990 and 29-day fast sale strategies together?
Absolutely. Let me talk about that. Yeah, absolutely, Brad. So I get that question a lot. So together, they're so powerful, it's crazy. I mean, they're just so powerful, it's crazy. So the messaging, now let's start with the messaging, and then I'll talk to you about how to do it. So the messaging is, of course, sell your home in 29 days for more than it's worth with complete full service and a commission as low as $990. I mean, talk to me first. Don't list with anyone else till you talk to me first. So, I mean, think about that. The messaging in real estate, there's nothing that even touches that message. So sell your home in 29 days for more than it's worth with complete full service and a commission as low as $990. Don't make a mistake. Talk to me first. Thinking about selling, talk to me first. Don't list with a moron. Talk to me first. Whatever you want to say. Okay. If you list with anybody else, you're stupid, right? Okay. So, all right. So you start with that. So then how do you integrate them? Well, so the first thing you do is obviously the 990 opportunity is what I explained before, where home sellers can hold their own homes open. If they find a buyer who's not with a real estate agent, then the commission's $990. Now, the pre-marketing plan, the 29-day plan, for those of you that aren't familiar with it, is a 29-day, 22-step pre-launch formula. Sellers love when they see this and they understand the power of this and how MLS is so detrimental to just throw their home in MLS right away and let it start tracking days on the market, and that this is no pocket listing. It's just the opposite. You're doing everything to build excitement and get other agents interested and give other agents the opportunity to call their buyers and let them see a home before it's officially on the market. This is such a good plan. And you know, I know, Brad, you know that. You must be in my coaching, and so you're aware of that and have that program. So how do you use it together? Well, first of all, what I recommend to home sellers, what I would say to home sellers is this. So the best way to do this would be for me to run the pre-marketing process first. And then if your home doesn't sell, you, after the 29 days, and we have our Sunday evaluation day, and if we haven't gotten it sold, then you start your own open houses and the 990 opportunity kicks in. So that would be the ideal way to do it. Now, why? There's a reason for that. It's not just because you wouldn't want the home sellers doing it. It's because one of the most powerful aspects, Brad, of we'll call it our 29-day formula, our pre-launch formula, is getting buyers in this higher price frame of mind. They're not seeing a sign until the last week, the last chance sign. They're not seeing a sign. They know it's not an MLS. We leverage that to make them feel special, to make them understand that, boy, if this home, when it hits MLS, it's gone. So if you have any interest, you need to move on this home. We create social proof by trying to aggregate showings on a Saturday. So the idea is that if a seller is holding their home open on weekends and they have that open sign out, then it takes some of that aura away of this being special and private. Remember, we have no sign on it. And that's how I would explain to home sellers that it would be best if you not do that. Now, that being said, if a home seller says, no, I love this 990 opportunity, I want to get out there and try too, then the next thing I do is say, well, look, rather than holding it open, why don't you just get out there, network it, market through social media yourself? You're allowed to do that, and try to generate a buyer that way. That way it doesn't ruin this aura of you having an open sign out that a buyer may see, when I'm trying to make that buyer, understand that this is a home that isn't officially on the market. So that's a next stage if they're just so insistent they want to do it. And then the third stage is if they say, no, I even want to hold it open, then you say, fine. Remember, they're the home seller. I mean, our job is to serve them. So if they say, no, I really even want to do it while you're running the 29-day process, then fine. Ask them to restrict that to Sundays, just one day on Sundays, so that they're not holding it open during the weekend, that it's not kind of ruining that aura. So yeah, it can be integrated easily. Best, again, in a nutshell, if they kick in with their open houses, if you don't get the home sold in the 29 days. However, if they would like to try to generate their own buyer, first try to convince them to do that through other means other than open houses. And if they say, no, we'd love it so much, which is a good thing. I mean, they're loving what you have. I mean, it's really just good stuff. They're loving what you have. Then let them. Just try to keep them doing it, like at a lower level on Sunday. Why? Not to keep them from finding a buyer, but rather to do what? To try to give the process its greatest chance. And this is what you explain to them. Give the process its greatest chance of producing a buyer for you who's in a higher price frame of mind, who's more anxious to buy your home. That's what it's all about. It's in your best interest. Brad, I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, the psychology of selling.
The psychology of selling, yeah. Leveraging that. So that's what this is about. It's what Apple does. It's what Tesla does. It's what so many other sophisticated retailers do. And it's what we don't do in the real estate industry. And I'll tell you, those who continue to persist with doing things the way they are, you guys know how I feel. They're going to get smoked. It's changing fast now. I've watched it change over the years, been around a long time. I've never seen it change faster. I've never seen more non-traditional firms and alternative systems being injected into real estate. Those of you who are just doing it the normal way and have your eyes closed, I beg you, don't. Look at what's going on. You need to up your game. And up your game just means doesn't mean you have to change companies, doesn't mean you have to go work for Redfin, for gosh sake. What it means is you have to look at what these innovative firms are doing and look at how you can out-innovate them. You can stay with the same company you're at, just out-innovate the innovators. That's what it's all about. That's what my coaching's all about. I never suggest to a realtor you move to another firm. I suggest to a realtor you be more innovative than the innovators.
I love that quote by Steve Jobs where he talks about, you think that you're stuck in your life, that you can't do anything beyond what it is that you were trained to do. But if you just look around, everything in this world was created by somebody no smarter than you.
Exactly.
It's so brilliant.
It
so
is
true.
It's so true. Yeah.
It's so
You just have to start thinking that way.
Correct.
One of the processes I teach is my 7-dimensional thinking. Start looking at every process, everything you do in real estate, bigger, smaller, faster, slower, opposite, different, and gone. And I have an audio on that. Again, those of you that would like that one, and I actually have a video on it as well. Again, help it really. These things, these webinars I do, you guys, any of you out there, any of the stuff I have, just fine. So if you'd like that 7-dimensional thinking, it's a way to start thinking creatively about your process. Again, help at realestatemaveriks.com. Say, I want 7-dimensional thinking, and you'll have it.
Magical.
Right? Magical.
Okay, here we go. We've got one from, we got a bunch of questions we're going to have to slam through here.
Okay.
We've got, I'm trying to go in order they came in here to be fair here. Natalie.
Am I getting paid for this?
You're probably not getting paid for this. Natalie says.
Is he the one that talked me into this?
I think I am, yeah.
I'm just kidding. Natalie, go ahead.
Natalie says.
I'm just in a mavericky frame of mind today.
Can LinkedIn and Facebook replace my website? ? I'm seeing large companies list their social media accounts on ads instead of their websites. Is this the new trend?
Yes, I'm not saying it will, but the answer is it is the new trend. You're spot on. It is absolutely. I am friends with Brendon Burchard, Jeff Walker, some of the smartest minds in online marketing. Just look them up. These guys are brilliant. In fact, my interview of Brendon Burchard, where he shares, I did that a few weeks ago. If you'd like some videos on that, a few are on my YouTube channel. Yeah, they're on my YouTube channel, and I'm releasing another one here next week. But I interface with these guys all the time, and yeah, the answer is yes. Now that doesn't mean that right now necessarily there's not a purpose for having a personal website. I have one, but that is the direction. Number one. Number two, LinkedIn is the largest publishing platform in the world now. They're posting, what they do. More content is published on LinkedIn than any other place in the world. So the idea of, let's say, looking at LinkedIn as your website, and traditionally the view was, don't have your personal website on rented space, on somebody else's space. Have your own URL and have yours. I'm not against that. And having your own website can have a lot of advantages. But I will tell you, a lot of people are looking at the combination, just as you said, of LinkedIn being like the personal website. That's the go-to place for people to see who you are, read what you write, watch your videos, which they can do. You can put your videos, look at those of you that aren't connected with me on LinkedIn, be sure and do. I accept anyone in real estate as a connection on LinkedIn, and I accept anyone in real estate as a friend on Facebook. So look at what I've done with my LinkedIn profile, how vibrant that is, how rich that is in content, recommendations. You see, you could never do on a personal website. You could never present the depth and breadth of social connection, social proof that you might be able to on LinkedIn, simply because of the way it's set up. So I'm not recommending against a personal website, but I will tell you some people are now. I get that trend, and I don't necessarily disagree with it. So there it is. Does that answer the question, I guess?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question, and a really good answer, because the thing that I think, and even just in our teleconference we did, what was it, last week, I guess, God, it seems like it was just yesterday, about advertising on Facebook. People, not just real estate agents, but businesses in general, small businesses don't recognize the power of a business page on Facebook or a LinkedIn profile that's connected.
Yeah.
It's that immediate proof. You've got customers rating you and talking about you. You're engaging with them. People get to know you in a way that your website will never be able to. But one thing I would recommend for everybody out there is to get an email address, if you can, that is linked to a domain that you own.
Oh, yeah.
Even if you just have a simple landing page, like as a website, nothing complex, just something simple, attach an email to it. So if you have your own business, Mike@thebestrealestatefirmintheworld.com. That's so much more professional than Gmail, Yahoo, AOL. I'm just
totally, yeah, in that Gmail, just like Greg@realestatemaveriks.com. And one thing you might think about, many of you probably use the email addresses of your company, and I'm not necessarily against that, but I will caution you that that's their space. And this is no criticism of any company. I'm just pointing out to you, is that really where you want to build your brand? Do you not want to maybe have an email address that's your own brand that you build just to give you the flexibility to do what you want in the future? So again, not criticizing any particular company, any company. It's just that's something agents have asked me about. And across the board, I recommend that they have an email address that is at their brand, not at their company's brand. You are building your own business. You are not building your company's business. You're building your business. Sellers list with you. They do not list with your company. They list with you. They count on you. It's your brand. It's your positioning. It's your future. So I recommend that as well.
That's how you start to build a scalable business.
How you start to build a scalable business. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Good answer.
I want to mention also that one of the things we're diving heavily into in our coaching is we've seen the need for it, is teaching heavy duty, not just social media, but digital, like the Harvard of digital marketing. We're seeing that it's so important that we transition our agents and teach them the art of digital marketing. And it's much bigger than social media. It is the future, hands down. There's no stopping it. Don't get antiquated. Don't be whatever in the room, the white elephant in the room. Exactly. And you just need to start learning it. And I know that we're making affiliations with some of the smartest digital marketing teachers in the world, simply to take their content and then look at it and translate it into real estate speak. That Adam and I were just talking about that the other day, how we're going to make that like a foundational thing of Real Estate Mavericks, where we want to become known as the Harvard of teaching real estate agents how to leverage digital marketing to propel their businesses.
The trend.
Yeah. And you got to stay with it. I mean, who are we to be teaching non-traditional approaches to real estate if we don't continue to evolve ourselves as a coaching company? I mean, then we're talking the talk, but we're not walking the walk. And it's hard. I mean, this stuff you can learn, this stuff's changing so fast. But bottom line is, what's not hard?
Right.
I mean, what's not hard?
It's not hard. It's not fun.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well,
well,
I don't know about that. It's not hard. It's not fun.
Okay,
I can say about that.
That's hilarious. Okay, so we've got a couple more in here. We've got 2 minutes. Let's see if we can knock these out here. Jeff.
Boy, you always get me down to like 2 minutes and then 12 questions to go,
I want to see you sweat.
All right.
The people want to see you sweat, Greg. Jeff says, do you think real estate agents need a CRM? I want to bring my real estate business into the 21st century, but is setting up email automation worth the investment?
Gosh.
Are there better ways to keep track of my leads and follow-ups?
Oh, no. Gosh, yes, you do. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. And one of the things we'll be covering here in our in our courses, as I say, we're developing this digital marketing, is an analysis of the CRMs, and more importantly, how to use that CRM to develop a drip marketing campaign that gets people to know you, like you, and trust you, where you're not shoving in their face, list with me, list with me, list with me, list with me. You have your compelling message. You make that known. They see that. That's critical, but you're building relationships. It is absolutely 100% essential. And if you would like if you'd like to become part of our Voxer group that is just going to be where we're just going to be pushing out this digital marketing stuff, just email help@realestatemaveriks.com, help@realestatemaveriks.com, and mention that, because you have to. You absolutely have to. And we talk about the various CRMs. We talk about which ones are we believe most efficient. And then one of my friends, she was my ASU intern. Her name is Jennifer. She was my ASU intern a few years ago when she was a senior at ASU. She has made a study of how to create drip email marketing campaigns that are pushed out to your customers on a weekly basis, that they love, that they open, that causes them to like you. That's this business she's developed, and she's so good at it. And I can share some of her information as well.
Good.
She actually does it for you. I mean, she does it for you. So you don't even have to. She'll just build the whole thing out. She uses Infusionsoft, to set it up. She understands Infusionsoft. So
she's sharp.
And she's way sharp. She is way sharp.
Okay, Mario called in and he asks, when I call sellers with the 990 opportunity, there is the impression that it's a gimmick because they've heard similar things from discount brokers. What should I say from the very first line to make them understand the program with clarity?
Okay, so and again, to reiterate the question, it's when they call him or he calls them?
When I call sellers with the opportunity.
Okay, so
calling them back, maybe.
Calling them back, yeah. I mean, so I'll just presume that, because I have to understand the exact setting. It's one thing when you actually call home sellers, like we'll call it by owners or expireds. It's another thing when somebody calls you because they've seen your 990 ad, but you said call home sellers. So I'll just give you the best answer I can. And then honestly, Mario, if we're not connected on Voxer, just connect with me on Voxer. I am Real Estate Maverick. You can download Voxer, Real Estate Maverick. Ask me that question, because we're out of time today, very specifically, and I'll give you specific talk tracks. But in general, you're on the phone, and the idea is to get an appointment. So let me give you the clarities here. I believe in this thing called clarity of purpose, clarity of process, clarity of person. We'll put person last because it's really important, but I always think about every day with everything I do, every call I make, every person I meet, every email I send, how do I want to project myself as a person? Who do I want to be as a person? But that isn't the point here. The point is you have absolute clarity of purpose and process when you talk to a home seller. It's simply to get in the door. It's simply to get in the door. It's not to explain the program. So in answer to your question precisely, if a person says, Greg, that just sounds like a gimmick. It absolutely sounds like a gimmick. At 990, how do you do that for 990? Your response is, well, I'll tell you this. It's been around for 35 years. There have been tens of thousands of homes sold under this program. The guy who developed it, Google him, Greg Haig. He's an attorney. He's a real estate broker. He's like 9 pages deep on Google. He's the developer. He's my coach. He's my friend. So if you have any doubt, this is the real deal, Google him. And what I suggest in your best interest, every bit is mine, is let me have 15 minutes to come over and talk with you, and you'll see transparently and logically, that this is the furthest thing from a gimmick. And I would even then use as an illustration an example of a gimmick. I've seen a lot of messaging where realtors will say, I saw some messaging where, hey, if I don't sell your home in 20 days, I'll give you $10,000. So if I don't sell your home in 20 days, I'll give you $10,000. That is a pure gimmick, because when nobody's writing that seller a check for $10,000 if they don't sell the home in 20 days. If somebody really had done that, they're so stupid they'd be out of real estate in a second, because they'd be broke. because the seller controls whether their home sells. They're not going to sell the home. They're just going to take your $10,000. Anybody that even thinks about that messaging knows it's a gimmick. All the realtor's doing is reducing their commission by some percentage up to $10,000 if it doesn't sell in 20 days. It's a pure gimmick, not backed by process. I would tell the home seller that. There are those things all through real estate. I understand why you would question that, but this is not bad.
Okay. And he'll reach out to you on Voxer if you want.
Yeah, please reach out to me on Voxer. I will give you then I'll understand your question exactly. I'll give you a comprehensive and specific answer on Voxer.
And Donna, if you're out there and you're still watching, she asked about these talk tracks.
Okay.
She said, what are these talk tracks you speak of? And I'm not quite sure because we went through several talk tracks today. So if you know what they are.
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Donna, I have talk tracks that range from everything from let's see, your messaging, which that's not really a talk track, but it is with respect to your elevator speech. And elevator speech, that's a cliche, but it's so critical that when you meet people and they ask you what you do, or it comes in, where the time is to mention that you're in real estate, that you don't say, I'm a realtor, I'm in real estate. So I have talk tracks for that. I have talk tracks for every aspect of the listing appointment, just like exactly what you say before you transition into, remember what I talked about earlier, philosophy first, purpose second, process third. So I have talk, and these aren't scripts. The reason I say talk tracks, these are not word for word scripts. What they are is the messaging. You say them in your own words. You can use mine, of course, but you say them in your own words. And I do all these talk tracks. I put them on audio. I have them on video. And if you have any specific, you're not in my coaching, and you have any specific in mind, again, help@realestatemaveriks.com, mention who you are, tell me what you have in mind, and I'll have my team send you over the Voxers, the audios that help you out there. The only thing you can't do, this is important, is if you're not in my coaching, you can't go out and use these things to beat out an agent who's in my coaching out of a listing. Right, Adam?
That's right.
That's forbidden.
Forbidden.
Forbidden. Can't do that. Okay.
Forbidden. All right.
We if you're not in my coaching, you get about half of it, but you don't get the last half, right? Can't give you the last
You always
half.
got to have a card up your sleeve.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So that's all of our
We
questions.
give you everything you need to feel like you're going to get the listing. And then when you lose it to an agent in my coaching, it's like, how did that happen? Right.
Donna says, thank you. Scott said, great content today, Greg. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Scott. Thanks, Donna.
Closing remarks?
You guys are great. Yes. A few closing remarks. Well, number one, whether it's me or someone else, I've said this before, I'll say it again, whether it's me or someone else, the purpose of a coach is to take you to a level you can't get to on your own. The purpose of a coach is to take you to a level you can't get to on your own. Everybody needs a coach. I have several. You need a coach. You have to discern who that right coach is. I'm the right coach for some people, totally. I'm not the right coach for some people, totally. I have a very specific view of how real estate should be done. It's the way I teach it. And that might not fit with everybody, but that's my first message. You need a coach. Get a coach. Find a way to afford a coach. That's number one. And of course, find the right one. Number two, the foundation for succeeding in real estate is listings. You know that. It's a cliche, list to last, all that stuff. But I'll tell you right now, the way to own your listing market is to have a transparently and logically better formula for selling homes at a higher price. And let me say that a better way. The key, the absolute golden ticket to your success is the fact that roughly 1.2 million realtors do business the same way. That is their Achilles heel. That is your opportunity. The process for selling homes has essentially not changed in 75 years. The only thing that's much different is there was a lot more print media advertising back then. There's a lot more online advertising right now. That is not a difference in process. That is just a difference in media. So you want to be thinking about whether you buy into my coaching and learn my strategies or develop your own. You absolutely positively, if you expect to propel your success, you need to go out and have a better product. You need to show the home sellers you have a better product that isn't the same old, same old. In other words, you have a Mercedes in a world of shinier Ford. So that's my message number two. And my third message is that if you absolutely positively want to be part of the Voxer group that we're starting June 6th. There's no charge for that. We're going to do that as for free for the month of June. This is a Voxer group where I'll be talking about, number one, how to leverage Voxer in amazing ways. And number two, I'll be analyzing all the non-traditional real estate models. You're going to see more and more of that. And I'm going to teach you the strategies you need to compete and win. So just email realestatemavericks.com. Just say you want to be part of the group, and we'll put you in, right?
Put 'em in, yeah.
And lastly, I'll just leave you with this. I hope you feel like I do. I wake up every morning excited. I wake up with purpose. I love my life. I love the agents I coach. There's nothing I've ever done. I love selling real estate, but this is such an amazingly wonderful thing. And the reason I believe that I feel so good every day, and I hope the agents I coach feel so good every day, is we're excited because we're doing something that's really moving this industry, and not just, I mean, it's something to make money with, it's something to help succeed, of course, and that's got to be your first priority. You know, your future, your family's future. I mean, that's critical. That got to be your first priority, but also really fun to be out there with something different, something exciting, something that's a little bit disruptive, that's a little bit rebelly. I mean, that just like really gets you up in the morning, that you believe in. And, you know, I wrote this article, if you haven't seen it, Huffington Post, Google Greg Hague, Huffington Post. Don't let tradition cage your ambition. Don't let tradition cage your ambition. Go in and look at that. If you like it, give it a Facebook like. That's what I teach. That's the way you need to think, whether you're in my coaching or not. And so I'll simply leave by saying what I often say, and that is, think about today. Is there a maverick in you?